Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by following up on something that Secretary Wolf just disclosed in his opening statement. Last night, you closed a DHS facility in Washington State in response to the coronavirus, sir, and ordered its employees to self-quarantine for the next 2 weeks. And in this morning, the Washington Post reported that a DHS employee in Newark reported to work on her boss's orders in violation of a coronavirus quarantine. DHS personnel have been on the front lines of responding to coronavirus at airports, at the border, and helping to prepare and risk management over at FEMA, and coordinating outbreak response with other agencies. In these frontline roles, they've also had an elevated risk of exposure. As of today, do you expect further closings of DHS facilities or facility-wide DHS staff quarantines due to the coronavirus?
We'll take that on a case-by-case basis. What I can tell you is that we continue to provide our CBP officers, our TSA officers, all of the information, training, but their protective equipment that's required as well.
But certainly you have a scope that exceeds ours right now, sir. So I'm looking for a yes or no. Do you expect to need to make additional closings?
I'm not gonna contemplate on what could be potential closings. We'll take that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. As a nurse, a public health expert, and a former senior advisor at HHS's ASPR, I know that a whole-of-government approach is necessary to respond to the coronavirus. Last week, you were asked about a coordination with CDC. Can you please provide a detailed update on exactly how DHS is working with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and state and local public health departments to respond to the coronavirus?
Sure. So we're working with them every day. So every single day, we have task force meetings, not only at the senior level of the task force, but also individually. We talked about earlier about our chief medical officer talking with and collaborating not only with HHS, with CDC. We have other individuals collaborating with ASPR as well. So we are fully linked up with both HHS, CDC, and others on making sure that if we need to change our operational tempo, our operational requirements and the decisions that we've taken, which I've outlined here, that we do so from making sure that the medical strategy, once it changes, as it evolves, we change our operations at our airports of entry, our land ports of entry, maritime. We continue to support in a supporting role HHS. So as I talked earlier, our Science and Technology Directorate at our MBAC facility is also characterizing the virus on behalf of the CDC. So we are providing support to them, and we'll continue to do that. They tell us to change direction, we'll change direction.
Great. This weekend when I was back home in Illinois, I heard concerns from families whose kids had been studying abroad in countries like Italy and in Korea with active outbreaks. What is your department's role in coordinating with CDC, Education Department, and other federal entities to bring these kids home safely?
So we'll continue, again, through the task force. There's been a number of travel advisories that we've put out, and so we're part of that process and that collaborative process to inform the administration. And then certainly the administration and State Department issues those travel warnings. CDC issues travel warnings separately as well.
I'm speaking about the experience of these Americans that are being repatriated, so just want to see if there's anything specifically that you're doing with these young people.
Again, you're talking about specific students that are overseas studying that are then coming back. We'll continue, as we saw in China when we repatriated individuals from China specifically. That was mainly through the State Department. DHS will obviously play a role in that as we process those individuals coming back into the country, but that's mainly a State Department role if they, as they repatriated a number of individuals from China on specific flights.
Okay, so let's return to the DHS employees on the front lines of the coronavirus response. Their job is to keep us safe and to require them to violate CDC's best practices for keeping themselves safe from the coronavirus. Not only do they interact with thousands of overseas travelers each day, but they're conducting screenings and pat-downs in extremely close quarters. So what measures have you put in place to minimize the risk to the DHS employees from the coronavirus?
I'm not sure that I would agree with characterizing that they are not following CDC procedures, because that's specifically what we have provided them. That's what we provided specifically to CBP as well as TSA officers. We're providing them, again, not only the literature from CDC, the training, but also that protective wear. So when we specifically talk about protective wear, we're talking about gloves and masks and the like. And we're doing that optional, so we don't require them to do that. They can do that if they choose to do so. We have several unions at the department that we're working with on that as well. It is a union issue as well, so we continue to work with them, provide them all the materials and all the protective gear that they, if they choose to use it, they certainly have it there at hand to do so.
Okay, well, The information that we're receiving doesn't suggest that it's in complete alignment. So if you would be willing to provide us with a copy of the guidance documents that you have offered to your employees, that would be really helpful for us to do our oversight work.
So we can do that through our CWMD office as well as specifically with CBP and TSA.
Great. I yield back, Mr.